Coming up tonight on the Donlon Report, how can you run a business these days with COVID and everything else going on? We have a shortage of workers. It's tough to hire people. And now the vaccine mandate may be back for business owners. We'll break down the good and the bad of that as the case goes to the Supreme Court today. Plus, Pope Francis, animal lover, says if you choose pets over children, you're selfish. Is there more to it than that? Adam Carolla here to discuss tonight. Big Friday show for you. A lot ahead, and we're glad to have you with us live from our NewsNation studios in Chicago. The Donlon Report starts right now. Hello and happy Friday. The president's vaccine mandate is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. That is the pulse of America. At issue, can the federal government compel businesses to force their employees to get a vaccine? The decision will boil down to whether OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has the legal authority to demand and enforce such a mandate for businesses with more than 100 employees. Those who are for the mandate say OSHA is in fact authorized to take emergency measures like this to protect workplace safety. Those who are against it say this goes way beyond OSHA's jurisdiction. Now, we have spoken several times with Brandon Trusclair, who owns a number of grocery stores in the Southeast. He's one of the business owners leading the legal charge against the mandate. Here's some of what he's told us in the past.
I believe it's a massive overreach of the federal government. This is obviously extends from the boundaries of OSHA. And, for whatever reason, I have employees that don't want to take this vaccine. And it's not for me to get involved in that decision. It's not for the federal government to get involved with their personal medical decisions.
Brandon puts a face on the issue for sure, a business owner who deals every day with real people who work for him. Brandon and millions of others like him are trying to run a business in a very tough and challenging business climate right now. Rising prices are squeezing profits and affecting consumer spending. Supply chain issues have led to empty shelves. We also have a record number of American workers quitting their jobs and a record number of job openings right now. Today, the Labor Department reported just 199,000 jobs added to the economy in December. A big miss. Experts were expecting more than double that, and those numbers were taken before the true Omicron surge in the last couple of weeks of the month. So that leads to tonight's big question. Given what we know about the labor market, with businesses having trouble hiring workers, is this the best time for a vaccine mandate that could either force them perhaps to fire people to get them under the 100 employee threshold, or maybe force employees who don't want the vaccine to quit? And that's where we start tonight. Joining me from the Supreme Court, NewsNation's Kelly Meyer. So, Kelly, let's start with some of the chances, I guess, after hearing what we heard today, of this mandate going through.
Well, that's right, Joe. The Supreme Court hearing this on a rare Friday session, as you mentioned, and the nation's highest court is really ground zero for a debate we're seeing across the country. We talked with that grocery store owner that you mentioned here. He shared with us this soundbite here. Take a listen.
I am a grocery guy. I'm not the vaccine police. It is not my position. It's not the government's right to put me in the position of the everyday medical decisions of my employees.
And what they decide will have an impact on more than 100 million workers. And after today, the court appeared ready to toss out Biden's vaccine mandate for businesses. But for the justices, some of the more liberal justices, they say that these Biden administration policies are needed to keep workers healthy and allow them to go back to work. Joe?
All right, Kelly, I know they also seem to be more in favor of this mandate when it comes to healthcare workers as well. What's the timeline here? Do we know when we might expect a decision from the Supreme Court?
Well, normally we don't see a decision until sometime in June or the summer, early or late spring. But this is an emergency case here. They are trying to get this done as soon as possible. It could come by the end of the month. And as you mentioned there with the healthcare worker cases, that's something that's up in the air. We almost are seeing here, and it appears that the business mandate will be blocked. But they are looking at this for the healthcare workers. And some of the justices may be leaning towards allowing that one to happen here, Joe.
All right, we'll continue to follow it, of course. Thanks for the update tonight. Kelly Meyer live for us at the Supreme Court. Let's get more on this now from Cody Willard and Rebecca Walzer. They've spent their careers following businesses and the markets as well. Great to have you both. Let's start, I guess, with at this point, why, Cody, with you think this might be something that would just be a horrible time for businesses to have to do this?
Well, look, it's clear that there are more job openings than there are people willing to take those jobs at the current pay level that those jobs are being offered at. And when there are adding in another complexity, adding another mandate, a mandate that would actually reduce the amount of jobs that people would be able, that are the number of people that can work is what that will do. It's not like you're going to make more people actually get the vaccine at this point. I'm pretty sure that most people who want the vaccine are going to get it. And if they're not going to get it, they're probably going to make a stand on this. And so you're going to lose yet more jobs. There, of course, is a good flip side of it, that the millennials out there that have either been vaccinated or want to go out and get vaccinated now, these jobs are going to have to start paying more. These companies, the corporations, are going to have to start paying more. And frankly, maybe the government should put the mandate on them and force them to either allow people who are vaccinated to work together and not at the same time as people who are not vaccinated, and let the corporations figure out how to pay for all of that.
Rebecca, what are you hearing from companies? At this point in the pandemic, I guess I'm wondering if we should just leave this up to the businesses.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Joe. I mean, it's extremely unusual, and certainly the federal government, we have a federalist system, which means that the health and police powers are reserved to the states. It's very rare for the federal government to get into nuanced healthcare decisions. And I as an attorney, I listened to the oral argument today, and I was particularly struck with Justice Kagan's comments where she was literally peppering questions saying, hey, well, people have to go to work and they're trapped and they can't control what other workers that they're trapped in 8 hours in these inside, spaces enclosed are doing on a daily basis. And it just kind of struck me as odd because I thought, well, if those people are so concerned, they have the right to take the vaccine and take a booster and another booster and potentially another booster. So I don't understand this mentality that every single person has to be vaccinated in order for one person who takes the vaccine to feel safe. And I don't think that was raised. And it's a very odd, constrained argument.
I actually have I have an actual living example of that. I am vaccinated. My wife is vaccinated. We're extremely cautious, but I have a daughter who has genetic disorder and she's on oxygen, has a trach, and we're very careful because of that. But if I were forced to work, I don't. I have my own hedge fund. I get to work my own office, and I can have employees here or not. But if I were forced to be around people who were not vaccinated by choice, that would be very hard for me because I don't want to risk getting it, even if I know I'm probably safe getting it, but transmitting it to someone who is probably not safe getting it.
The flip side of that, Cody, and we've talked about that on this broadcast, is that we go to the grocery store, we don't have any idea who's vaccinated and who isn't. We have 2 million people a day flying through our airports, and if you've flown, you have no idea who in that airport's vaccinated or not. I mean, we do all we can. We get the vax, we get the booster, we wear a mask, and we hope for the best, just like everyone else, as we keep our distance.
Amen. And, all we can really do is empathize with others, right? I mean, I try to empathize with people who are so anti-vax that they don't even want to have a discussion about whether it could be okay for someone like me to get vaccinated and try to take care of my family. But I also want them to have empathy for people who have loved ones who are extreme risk. And that's just the reality that we have to deal with. And so I don't get to fly. I flew back. The last time I was in New York was when the COVID numbers were down at 6,000 in the United States on a daily basis. They're now, 1,000 times that or 100 times that. And so I'm not flying to New York. I stay at home, except coming to my office in rural New Mexico.
Let's listen quickly to some of what the president had to say today about the economy.
Record job creation, record unemployment declines, record increases in the people in the labor force. I would argue the Biden economic plan is working. Today, America is the only leading economy in the world where the economy as a whole is stronger than before the pandemic.
Rebecca, let's just get you finally on this point here, because unemployment, as he mentioned, is at 3.9%. But that reflects people who are willing and able to work. It doesn't take into account the folks who have basically taken themselves out of the workforce. And we know record numbers of people are quitting, and there are record numbers of job openings. What do you make of all of this?
You're exactly right, Joe. We had 4.5 million workers leave the job workforce in November. We certainly had similar numbers in September and October. It's unprecedented. I would call it the mass exodus from the workforce, and something is going on. And so you could certainly say these mandates through OSHA, through Biden, that he put through in November, where the deadlines have been coming up and people are just deciding, hey, you know what? It's just not a deadline I'm comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with anyone else telling me what I have to do with my own body. So I'm going to leave the workforce. And then, of course, they're not included because they're no longer actively seeking employment. And this is why we have some 12 million job openings, which is unprecedented in normal economic times. Granted, we have a pandemic, but we are not in the middle of a global depression, and yet we have 12 million job openings. So something is motivating these people to leave the workforce. And that is, Biden is right. We did add over 6 million jobs last year, but we also had so many people leave. They could have taken a job and left. So that's not reflected in that number.
Rebecca Walzer and Cody Willard, great to have you both with us tonight. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But one industry that's been hit particularly hard over the course of the pandemic, the restaurant industry. The situation has gotten so severe, mayors from 28 cities across the country have sent a letter to Congress calling on them to replenish funding for struggling restaurants. Joining me now, someone who is experiencing the struggle of running a restaurant during the pandemic firsthand, Chef Andrew Gruel, and he's also dealing with the pandemic firsthand. I understand it's run through your family. How is everyone?
Everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for asking. I appreciate it.
Yeah, how has this experience with COVID, I guess, maybe changed your perspective on running a restaurant during it?
I've always taken it very seriously. We set a policy early in 2020. Any employee who ever even came near virtually thought about COVID. Take the time off, take the time you need. We're always going to pay you. And we paid all of our employees to be incredibly safe and never encouraged anybody to work if they weren't feeling well. And I think that now that my business is running smoothly while we're not there is really, the universe paying me back for being able to give those employees the opportunity to do the same for themselves.
It does seem, at least here in Chicago, like a lot of the restaurants have done all they can to try to figure this out, and customers have done as well as much as they can to follow the rules. Let's talk a little bit about this letter the mayors all sent. How important do you think this financial aid would be for restaurants? Because as I saw today, there are some who are saying that this would be catastrophic without it. Restaurants and bars are months beyond struggling. They're dying in plain sight.
Yeah, and that is the case. And there was a minute there where everyone, I think, was able to try and ride some of the inertia of demand. And we felt like we were getting out of this. And everybody started to turn the page. And right, how many headlines were there about us turning the page and everything is over? And then the fear and the new variants hit. And then suddenly, bam, everything just halts right in their tracks. Third-party delivery goes right up again. You can't get employees. Already we have issues with supply chain costs and labor costs, et cetera. And all of those elements come together. And now you've got the Omicron variant coming into the holidays, going out of the holidays. And you're right, we are watching restaurants drop like flies, one after another right in front of us. Not only do we need the financial help, but we also need the freedom, and we need the help from local governments and state governments to also give us the opportunity to run the businesses properly and safely, as we have been. You even mentioned, there in Chicago. I think restaurateurs have been unfairly vilified to some degree through this pandemic. And not everybody, but most of us are really trying our hardest to do what's best for not just the industry, but also for our team members and our workers.
Boy, you guys are facing so much, and not just restaurants, but so many businesses, I know. And then we're talking now about possibly adding this vaccine mandate as well. I know there are several concerns and challenges ahead for you. Chef Andrew Gruel, it's always great to see you. I hope you and your family are well, and take care.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Disturbing new details in the case of the Crumbleys. They're the parents of the accused Michigan school shooter. What they knew about their son for months, even years ahead of time, that could have been warning signs. That story's next. Privacy groups and police are sounding an alarm tonight as Apple's newest gadget is becoming increasingly popular. The button-sized AirTag, as it's called, can attach to almost anything with a key ring. And then iPhone users can use the feature on their phone that allows them to track the tag's location using Bluetooth. So you can find your keys, you can find your wallet, maybe even your dog. But the tags can also be used, as we're finding out now, to track people completely unaware if slipped into, say, a purse, a suitcase, or maybe even stuck to a car. A new report from the New York Times details the stories of several women who say they were being tracked using the Apple product. Our next guest says her cousin was unknowingly tracked with an AirTag, and she helped her find it and then documented it on TikTok. Here's part of that.
Okay, so we lifted this seat up. Let me see it again. Oh my gosh. It's right there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
TikToker Jessica Troxel joins us now. So let's start, Jessica, with I guess how your cousin figured this out to begin with. The phone gives you an alert, right?
Yeah, so just like any other alert on iPhones, it pops up on the top, and she just clicked on it, and it showed her like the option to play the sound. And then it also showed her like how long it had been tracking her and the little route that it had been with her with.
How long had it been tracking her?
It had been tracking for about 3 hours, I think she had said.
So did it tell her where they planted it? I mean, was she at a bar? Where was she when this happened? Did she figure that out?
She had just traveled. So she lives in Reedley, and she traveled to Fresno. So it's only about a 30-minute drive. And somewhere along the lines, it had been placed in her car, and we don't know how. Well, she leaves her doors unlocked, and so that's a really big safety precaution. But so we think that because of that, it had been placed in there.
Why do you think they were tracking her?
I have no idea. She has a baby, so I mean, there's a lot of trafficking going on, so that's a possibility. I've seen other videos on TikTok where people are explaining they do it to like the newer vehicles just to keep track of them, and then later on steal them. We're really not sure.
So typically when you get a notice that you're being tracked like this, you would have to, if this were someone you know and they're saying they want to follow you, you would either accept it or decline it, right? Did she have that option with this thing?
No, so I know with like your own phone, like your Apple ID, if you want to share that and let people follow you, you can accept or deny that. But with these, I don't think you can. I haven't done a crazy amount of research, but I believe that these just start tracking as soon as the owner like wants to start tracking. So luckily this specific one that we found wasn't registered. So we don't think they were tracking. I'm really not positive.
And you have no idea who is using the chip on you, right? I mean, I saw on the Apple website today, it says the process is anonymous and encrypted to protect your privacy. That would mean the person who's using it, not the person getting tracked.
Right. So luckily there are like plays that Apple put into it. So if you hold up the AirTag to your phone, it will pop up and tell you the serial number, and you can contact Apple, tell them the serial number, and they should give you whatever information that they have as far as the registered owner. Wow. But like I had said, this one wasn't registered, so we didn't get any information off of it.
Well, it's an interesting story. Jessica Troxel, we appreciate you joining us to share it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shifting now to policing in America, New York City's newly sworn-in district attorney is ordering prosecutors not to seek prison sentences for a slew of crimes and also to downgrade charges, including robberies, commercial burglaries, and drug dealing offenses. Critics are blasting the DA, Alvin Bragg's new policy, calling it soft on crime, and it also flies in the face of New York new Mayor Adams, his pledge to take a tough stance on crime. Joining me now, retired NYPD homicide detective Bill Cannon and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Randy Zellin. Mr. Cannon, let's start with you. I'm wondering how this is going over in New York, and I thought the mayor was going to tighten the screws there on crime.
I think it's being viewed as lunacy. When you talk about robbery first degree, which is a Class B felony, and as long as no one is hurt, someone can display a firearm, but as long as no one's hurt, they can plead that down to a petty larceny. I mean, it's just, it defies any kind of logic.
What is the logic?
That's his position on this.
Bill?
Well, it's something called decarceration. They don't want to put people in jail, and they don't want to put people in prison. And that is their whole goal. And the thing that he really has, which is so misguided and such an out-and-out blatant lie, he says these policies will make us safer. That is an out-and-out lie. As safe as Chicago? As safe as Baltimore? As safe as San Francisco? How safe?
Randy, as a former prosecutor who's worked for a DA, what do you think of this?
Well, as a defense attorney, obviously, I'm thrilled anytime I have the opportunity to reduce a client's exposure. While I practice predominantly white-collar criminal law, the defense bar is the defense bar. But as a human being, as a citizen, as a former prosecutor, as a husband, as a father, I agree with Billy. And by the way, hello, Billy. It's been a long time. The truth of the matter is, Billy is absolutely right, because deterrence, preventing the next Randy Zellin from committing a crime, it's a two-headed monster. One, there's got to be certainty that I'm going to get caught. Two, there's got to be certainty that I'm going to be punished. We just threw the punishment right out. And the same way one size justice doesn't fit all when we're hard on crime, it's equally just as bad to have one size fits all justice to be soft on crime. Give the prosecutor the discretion. It may very well be that a robbery is an overblown petty larceny, but a robbery could be a robbery.
Bill, you brought up a number of cities there, Baltimore for one, and I know a number of cities have tried this, where they've stopped prosecuting low-level cases. And I know in one headline I saw today, it didn't necessarily make it more dangerous, but will it make it safer? And the jury was still out on this, at least in Baltimore and other cities that are trying it. Is the thought maybe that they need to focus more on the more serious crimes, as Randy's pointed out here?
You know, if there's no deterrence in the law, then criminals are emboldened to ply their trade, which is, it's their trade. If there's no punishment, they're going to keep doing it. Look, we've seen these smash and grabs in all these large cities. And if there's not going to be any prosecution, if there's not going to be the threat of jail time, then what is going to deter criminals from doing that? You know, I grew up on the NYPD with, you know, the broken windows style policing, which over a 30-year period dropped crime in New York City 70% in the 7 major crimes. That, you know, you can point to that as something that really works. I want to see if Alvin Bragg can point to statistics other than he's pointing to 2 Texas, the study was done in Texas, I believe, these 2 academics who are always trying to prove their statistics correctly, and they're woke and they're progressives to begin with. So of course they're going to try to prove it, but I want to see does this actually work? I don't think it does.
Let's see, Randy, quickly. You've worn several hats. If you were the DA, would you do this?
No, I would not do this. I would give my prosecutors the discretion, but I certainly wouldn't announce to the world day one, we're going to take it easy on criminals, because certainly that is not going to keep any of us safer.
All right. Retired NYPD homicide detective Bill Cannon and criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Randy Zellin. Good to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, did you hear about the plane full of maskless Canadians who were partying on their flight to Cancun, and now they're not being let back into the country? Pretty incredible pictures. And who better to talk about that than Adam Carolla? We'll get his unique insight on that. And also on the Pope ahead. A debate underway in the Catholic Church over parenthood, our humanity, and after some recent comments from Pope Francis, your Labradoodle. The Pope telling parishioners that it's selfish to choose pets over having children, saying it takes away our humanity. He urged married couples to, in fact, have more than one child and to adopt children, not just pets. As the New York Times put it, it's a kids over kibble stance. So where exactly is Adam Carolla on this kibble quibble? He joined us now. It's always good to see you, Adam. You have 2 kids, so I'm assuming you're in good standing with the Pope.
I'm always in good standing with the Pope. Well, first off, he took a vow of celibacy, so nobody needs 3 cats like the Pope, because celibate people need cats, number 1. Number 2, I was thinking about it when I heard this story. It's too bad the Pope can't have kids, because wouldn't that be the greatest for the kid? Like, could you imagine the Pope's 13-year-old son just first day at school and some kid's going, my dad's a fireman. And the other kid goes, my dad's a professional baseball player. And he goes, my dad's the Pope. Suck it.
So you know better than anyone, Adam, that in show business, you never follow kids or pets. It's just a losing proposition. And he's gone after both of them here, sort of.
Well, it's kind of struck me as I was thinking about this story. Our relationship with pets is interesting. Half the world is eating their pets, and the other half of the world is buying stairs at the Sky Mall so they can get up on the bed and sleep with them at night. It's a very interesting point in time, the relationship with pets. Think about it.
Yeah. Did you have to go there, though, Adam? You know, I mean, we all laugh about the headline, and that's what gets the attention. But I guess his bigger point, his defenders would say that he was trying to make a point that there are a lot of children in the world who need love and care as much as pets.
I agree, and my parents split the difference. They had 2 kids, but they treated us like pets. I slept in a basket.
Okay. All right. I was wondering which sibling got that. Did you see this story about the Canadians who took the charter flight from Montreal down to Cancun? And I guess it was just, it was a boozy affair. And in fact, it was so boozy, they weren't allowed to come back to Canada.
Trudeau is such a wuss, isn't he? Is there a bigger wuss leader than Trudeau? And I was thinking about it, and I thought they were in Mexico. Mexico is like our past, but Canada is like our future. Like if we keep going this lockdown, civil liberties destroying direction, we are going to end up like Canada. And I don't want to live under the oppressive boot of Justin Trudeau. But I was thinking about a few things. First off, what did they do on the plane? They had a good time. I know Trudeau hates that. He hates to see freedom. He hates to see people partying. He hates to see people having a good time. Where's his science? Everyone was tested before they got on the plane. And what's the deal with the mask? Oh, they weren't wearing their masks. I've flown commercially 100 times since the pandemic. They yell at you to put the mask on, then they hand you a sack of Fiesta mix, and you take the mask off. So you tell me where the science is. It's okay when you're eating Fiesta mix, but not if you're having a good time. And drinking, I drink on a plane. So what were they doing? They weren't social distancing. Well, you can't do that on a plane. You pull your mask down to eat the hummus box, and you drink anyway. So what did they do? What they should do is they should hop a charter flight to Florida and announce themselves political dissidents.
Oh,
like they should claim asylum. Take a flight, get Trump's airplane should fly them from Cancun to Mar-a-Lago, and they should claim that they're political dissidents, that the regime is hostile, and they can't go back to Canada.
I think the bigger issue, Adam, was that they were just sort of boozy and belligerent. I don't think it had as much to do with COVID anyway, but I couldn't help but think of how many other New Year's parties there were around the country and the globe, for that matter, with more than 100 people. It just wasn't on a plane.
Yeah, well, there's 2 things Trudeau hated. One is you guys were having fun and you didn't ask my permission. And number 2, somebody vaped. Somebody sucked in water vapor.
Right. I thought it was interesting, too, that the conditions for them to return, one, they had to be sober on board, remain seated, and pay for security on the flight. There was no mention of a test to get back, I guess, but I think that would be required anyway. This video, you wish you were on that flight, Adam.
Oh, my God, I wish I was on that flight. It seemed like Sodom and Gomorrah air up there.
All right, listen, it's always Adam Carolla. Great to see you and great to have you. Enjoy the weekend. Take care.
Thanks, my friend.
All right, On Balance with Leland Bittert starts at the top of the hour.
How do you follow that?
Yeah, it's like kids and pets, like he said. That's always tough to follow.
Yeah, it's very hard. Hey, we're talking about your favorite sport, football. We're talking about
hockey's my favorite sport.
Oh, all right. Well, your favorite subject, sports. Okay, I'm going for a reach here. Anyway, we're talking about football. We're going to introduce you to the least woke coach in the NFL.
What makes him that?
You're going to have to watch it. There he is.
Oh yeah. Well, he says it like it is.
And he did say he did say it like it is to Antonio Brown.
Oh. All right.
So why he fired him, how he did it, how he's approaching it, because, of course, Antonio Brown's sort of playing the victims through all this, and sort of what that says about the NFL. And it's pretty interesting in terms of how Bruce Arians is handling all of this and kind of what that means for the NFL and why it's acceptable to NFL fans pretty much in every city in America.
Well, he's very well liked, Arians.
Sure.
As is Brown.
Right, but we all know what Bruce Arians said to Antonio Brown and how he said it. And it's just not how you're supposed to treat people anymore, right? We're all supposed to be kind and cuddly and, if you're not feeling well or you don't want to play or whatever, go ahead and sit on the bench here. And that's not what he said.
All right. Well, we'll look for
break
that
that
at the top of the hour. Leland, thanks very much. Well, a bit of a cringeworthy moment from the House Speaker on January 6th. Why was the cast of Hamilton involved in a January 6th memorial? That's next. We talked yesterday about our divide over the January 6th anniversary, and here's more. Yesterday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, at a ceremony marking the anniversary of the riot, invited Lin-Manuel Miranda and the cast of Hamilton to perform a song. Here's a clip.
We're privileged to have a contribution from one of the great creative talents of our time, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
And we must remain committed to finding a way forward together. That's what I wrote about in the song Dear Theodosia from Hamilton.
So that song, Dear Theodosia, is about Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, who famously shot and killed Hamilton after challenging to a duel in 1804. But critics pointed out the speaker had Miranda and cast sing a song about killing a founding father from the Capitol, where just 1 year earlier there were calls by rioters to hang Vice President Mike Pence. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.